Welcome to another live episode of Halftime Adjustments. Your host, Eddie Arnell, my man G Witt, Mr. J. Lou.
Tighten up, baby.
Let's
Tighten up.
tighten up. G Witt is back with us this week, man. 2024, guys, we're here. Football is finally back. We got the preseason, man. Week 1 is complete. Titans 17, 49ers 13, man. And G Witt, since you missed the last episode, man, I'm going to come to you first tonight, man. Give me after we've seen a sample size of this new regime, right? This offense, this defense, kind of just touch on a couple things, what you saw, your initial thoughts on what you saw last night.
Well, initially, I would say this. The defense, I think, is going to be as good as we thought it was, considering that you didn't play your starting secondary, with the exception of Roger McCreary and the two safeties. But at the same time, I think that defensive line is going to be a monster, considering Big Jeff wasn't in there and T. Sweat was doubled most of the night. Offensively, I thought the O-line did a great job. I was checking it out early on the TV broadcast today, and I was just timing up. And I mean, when the quarterback has an average of 2.3 seconds to throw the ball, that's actually pretty good. Mm-hmm. So that's not too bad at all. And I thought the return game, we got a battle for returners. So they're going to, maybe 2 and 2, Jackson and Jackson will be handling both the kick returns and the punt returns. But overall, I thought as an overall team effort, I thought it was good. But again, I always tamper it because it's just preseason.
J. Lou, man, your initial thoughts, buddy. Your initial thoughts.
G Witt hit on a couple of them. I thought the offensive line, all things considered, first string and second string, did fairly well for their first live action against someone other than their team. I think it was kind of funny. You heard the big rookie, J.C. Latham, side note, he's humongous in person. Yeah. TV doesn't know justice. He's humongous in person.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting hearing him say that the speed at which they practice is faster than what they see in the game.
Wasn't that interesting?
And he said the same thing. He remembered the same thing at Alabama. So, and again, I think part of it is because of what that defense is doing. I text y'all at the game, and to Jiva's point about the defense, I think we see what aggressive is going to be. The first play of the game was a blitz by a linebacker. Mr. Bird. First play of the game. First play of the defensive game.
That's my sauce right there.
Man, looked great. I think that's going to be great. And I'll get into my concerns a little later. I think the offense, he didn't show a lot. Like we were yelling in the stands, and we made it to about halftime or so, and we were yelling in the stands, stop showing so much, because if you go back and look at the exact same tight end play they ran with Mason Rudolph in there, they got the tight end schemed open 3 or 4 times in a row. I mean, it was, hey, don't show your whole hand, but I thought the offense looked good. Shotgun, you saw it. We talked about it in the offseason. You saw a lot of zone running.
Yeah,
a lot of it. And let's just be honest. I think you saw. I think both of these backs are going to be as advertised, man. It's truly a 1-2 punch. You don't miss a beat when you go out there. I will say we've got to find some short yardage running backs, big thumpers, because I didn't like what I saw last night from one in particular. And then to G Witt's point about the return game, I think Jackson and Jackson made a good case game 1 to make this roster as returners. It's interesting that if you got there a little early, your boy had the yips in punt catches. Kyle Phillips
about that. Yep,
he dropped like 2 or 3 punts in a row doing warm up. So that's got to be the way for him to try to make this team, because I just think the numbers game might catch up with him. But I like to see, we had 2 decent returns on kickoff and a punt coverage. Yeah. We ain't had that in I don't know how long, but overall, you got to be pleased with what you first saw. As G Witt pointed out, I think 3 weeks in the camp now, 2 or 3 weeks in the camp, finally hitting somebody with another color. But all things considered, you like the trajectory of the team.
Yeah, definitely. And shout out to Dion, man. He said, don't everybody pass out with excitement because he's back. Man, appreciate you, Coach. Will, Ken Lou, man, your boy Sauce. What's going on, fellas? Will Dotson, man, in the house. So, just a couple things. Y'all pretty much hit everything. I liked the offense, what we saw, and I will point out a few things as we move along in the show. It was nice to see the defense not playing 10 yards off.
Ah,
which the corners aggressive all night. And we saw some linebacker blitzes, and I'll speak more about that in a minute because I got some concerns as well when it comes to Deion said his player of the game, Chance Campbell. So we'll look at the offensive side of the ball first. And so, J. Lou, to me, okay, we got Will. Let's start at quarterback. We got Will. He had some moments last night. But the backup quarterback position is still up for grabs, in my opinion. What you got? What you got?
So again, it's funny. We were talking about that in the stands. Mason Rudolph is the highest paid quarterback on our team. He makes Will and he makes
that is correct.
Malik threw the best ball of the night between any three quarterbacks, and it didn't even count because of a illegal formation call.
That's right.
That was the best pass.
That was a good ball, man. That was a good ball.
If you sat there last night and watched it and can't see the progression with Malik, and again, you heard about progression last year, but we saw what I liked last night is you saw an offensive staff that looks like they've catered some play calling towards him some.
You saw some RPO.
And it put him in a good situation. But I'd agree. I mean, and this is one of those games where you can't box score watch. Because if you look at the box score, Mason Rudolph had a better throwing between both of them, but he had more chances than that. But I think it's a legit competition. Not to move away from Will real quick, but the one thing I liked about Will that they said they've been talking about, if you notice, a lot of his play designs, he took the check downs over short passes.
Yeah, it was good.
We all know that he can throw the deep ball,
right.
But we want to see how he does in that intermediate game. And I thought there's some growth in him. But back to your original point, man, I think there is some legit competition at it. I don't think the coaching staff thought would be there if Malik continues on the same trajectory.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What about you, G? Because you had pointed out something in particular when you went to the practice that Mason, and to me, I still can't make it make sense in my head that he's a right-handed quarterback, but doesn't throw good to the right side of the field. Go ahead, man. Speak on it.
I mean, you saw it on that one play where he had the tight end wide
open.
And the bad thing about that play, in all honesty, was the fact that he actually could have just stopped and set his feet to make the pass because he had that much time.
Yes.
Right.
He really, literally made a panic throw, and it was late on top of that, and didn't give the tight end time enough room to actually run under it and make the catch. Granted, the tight end should have got both feet down, but that's beside the point. Yeah, Mason Rudolph, I think it's still open. And I was noticing, like I said, it's different when you go back and I watched the replay and everything. I thought one of the things they did good with Malik was the fact that they gave him play calls that caused him to get rid of the ball quickly.
Yes.
And I think that's really what helps him out. When he has that single read, get rid of the ball quickly and go. If he has to hold the ball or make a decision when he rolls out, it's just not as good because he's hesitant. And whether that's a carryover from the past 2 seasons or what, but we saw that when he rolled out a couple of times. He had one play where he actually had 3 guys in the area. He could have threw it short or he could have threw it long, and he tried to fit it in the middle and missed the guy completely. So, but again, Mason Rudolph, you see why the Steeler fans were so frustrated with him because he had some plays, man. Throwing to his left, he was on the money. Throwing to his right, it was like it's almost a crapshoot.
Yeah.
So I was even going back looking at that that pass he threw to Chestnut towards the end zone on that 3rd down play.
Mm-hmm.
If he throws it to his outside and let him run to catch the ball, he's able to turn up and actually get the 1st down.
Yes.
But instead, he threw it to the inside, which is what he had been doing in practice. And that's really something that's going to, I'm going to say, bite us in the long run. But I thought Will did okay. I like the fact that he went with his check downs. Now, I will say from going to the practice that his short to intermediate throws are better than his long throws right now. And I noticed that at the stadium and at St. Thomas, especially with Calvin Ridley, he has a hard time hooking up with him on the deep ball, even though Ridley is wide open. And I think one of his problems is that he tends to aim the ball when he's throwing it to Ridley, as opposed to how he would air it out with Hopkins. So I think that's something he's going to have to work on and everything. And supposedly that's what they have been working on because they realize they've been missing it. But I would say Malik looked better than I thought he would. And I have to agree with you guys. I think the change in coaching and actually getting plays that's going to fit him, is going to help him out a lot. Yeah, the backup is still wide open. I don't agree with the pundits who say it's Mason Rudolph. I can't see that right now. It's going to be one. It might be the same thing they're doing with the running back, 1A and 1B.
Yeah, they to your point, they both missed it. I mean, Mason Rudolph missed the tight end first, and then Malik came back, and it was almost like the same exact play.
Yeah,
if you look at it. And I mean, like you said, he had three guys up, one short. The intermediate guy who had more coverage, but the deep guy was wide open. They both held the ball. Not sure why. And I don't know if they progressed that fast, because it's easy to see it from the stand, right? Oh, he's wide open, but you just never know what they're computing as they look across the field. So yeah, I think it's wide open too, man. And I think it's going to go down to the last game pretty much. And so here's what's really appearing to me is that Calvin Ridley, he is exactly what you think he is, man. Yeah. He caught one ball, but man, he's in space.
Oh,
he's so explosive in space.
He has the opportunity to be the Yak King.
He has another gear.
Yes.
I mean,
man.
Lord. I mean, gee, we hadn't seen that type of speed right here, a receiver, and
forever.
Right? I mean, D Mace was good in space, but he didn't have the explosiveness, right?
Yeah, not right off the bat.
This guy's got another gear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, talk to me about the receivers, man, because we saw, of course, we know Calvin Ridley what he's gonna do. We saw Burks get one catch, took a big shot. They didn't play on them after that. And so, with the Jackson combo and punt return, does that spell the end for Kyle Phillips? We kind of talked about that early on in the offseason. As we drafted Jaquan Jackson, then Kearis was back, and we saw last night how explosive both of them are. And
Yeah.
And like Jay Lou said at the beginning of the game doing warm-ups, Kyle Phillips has got the drops to the punts.
Yeah.
And so that depth in that, even Mason Kinsey was catching. Well, Kyle caught some balls last night, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But, is this the end of Kyle Phillips on the Tennessee Titans?
Man, it's really interesting because really he's in a battle with Mason Kinsey about on that spot. And I'm not sure if he's going to win the battle. And it could be, bottom line, it could be Kyle Phillips just has the effects of the situations he's had with those hits and those concussions and everything. He's not apt for going across the middle. Mason Kinsey will go across and make the catch, jump up and get down. Kyle Phillips has been hit so hard so many times. He's not doing that anymore. He's still a good receiver. I just think, I don't know if he's going to make it. And really, when you stop and think about it, again, we're talking preseason, so we know the speed is more like the college game. And I don't know if Kyle Phillips don't step up here pretty soon. I know he's not going to make it as a returner. That I do know. Mm-hmm. He's going to have to make it as a receiver, and that's going to be kind of hard to do considering the fact you probably keep both Jackson and Jackson. And it's going to come down between him and Kinsey. And right now, Kinsey is getting the work, and he's not.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be interesting to see, because I always thought when we first saw Kyle Phillips and the way he moves his feet and everything with his route running, I always thought he was going to be a pretty good slot receiver. But he's taken way too many hits, and I think that's got him shook playing that slot role and going across the middle. He doesn't want to get hit again. So,
yeah, and we the past couple of seasons, man, some things happen that we don't know. Cause like I said, Burks was in the doghouse. Mm-hmm. We can go on and on about that. And so you just never know how the previous scheme affected him. He took some big shots, like you said. He couldn't stay healthy. He dropped some punts. And so things that happen, people have scars. It's hard to get over sometimes, man.
Yeah.
And he's just going to have to keep working hard. Deion says that Mason Rudolph is still suffering from a headshot from Myles Garrett with the helmet. That might be true, man.
Yeah,
might be true. Nathan makes a good point, man. He seems like he loves Callahan, what he's doing. The players seem happier. Everything seems to be clicking. He does. It's like it is a different atmosphere, right? Because to your point, Jay Lee, you saying it's good to know that what the injuries are now. Because we're playing mystery and guess who with Vrabel.
I feel like, and again, not to say Callahan's a pushover, because they said he went off that the first day in pads after the fights or whatnot, and some folks I've talked to that had been out at practice have said he could get animated when he needs to. But I think the feel is just not. You've got one leader now, it's Rand, who's a GM, and his team of GMs, and then the coaching staff. You don't feel like people are walking on eggshells. I think it was something that Callahan said, if not last night in today's presser, the tight end that made a penalty, he called a play the very next play right back to him.
Yeah.
And not to harp on Vrabel, because we're not going to do that this year.
Right.
But let's just say in the past, that player might have got pulled out of the game and not seen the ball anymore. So to see somebody that's probably, and again, I've mentioned it and we've all talked about it, it's a different type of personality with these players in the league now. And again, I thought they seemed a lot looser and everything as well last night.
Yeah, and so here's somebody else that's been flashing, man. As we talk about the offense, we'll get to the O-line in just a minute. But Martin Robinson, the tight end, you saw him last night, man. This guy is really flashing in camp. We've been hearing that he's catching balls. The knock on him is he's not as a physical inline blocker as Verrett is from the guy they signed from the Chargers. And so the depth of the tight end room is going to be pretty good to watch as well.
Yeah.
It's gonna make some tough decisions.
So that's why I said I can already see us 2 weeks from now. So when we do our 53 prediction, it's gonna be tough because I think the past 7 years you've been able to kind of figure out how many tight ends the Titans gonna keep, how many wide receivers. I really don't have a clue.
It's not a clue right now.
Keeping 7, 8 wide receivers. You can look at 4 tight ends. You can go anywhere from 4 to 3 tight ends. I mean, as somebody said, the depth is there. I can't get with Dion. The depth is there, and then just to see the tight ends and seeing how we have a different variety of them in this offense, and how Callahan, so far from what we've seen, is using them. So I said the same thing last night, just sitting there watching, some of these backup players. They're gonna have some. They're building it to where you're going to have some tough decisions at certain positions when it gets down to cut day.
So, I know y'all saw this, man. Let's talk about the offensive line because it was so refreshing to see them play last night.
Yeah,
you can tell. I mean, from the jump. I mean, even G, which you went to practice, you saw it live. This is our first time seeing it live. J. Lou and I. You could tell the coaching that they're getting from Bill Callahan. I mean, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
So you think about what we saw, and I don't want to, again, Jay Lee, you said we're not going to harp on the past few years, but what we saw when we went to practices, right? What the O-line was doing compared to what they're doing now, man, it's like,
night
man,
and day.
I think they're getting all kind of stuff, and you see the big sleds, the things that he's created, all the drills that they're doing, putting the cable on the back and kind of working on anchoring point.
Yeah.
I mean, I think of one play last night, and I know you guys saw it with J.C. Latham. It was like that drill. He had put that guy on the ground, and he held his ground. I'm like, that's good stuff. G. Whit, man, to see this offensive line that's strong. I mean, they're strong too. Right.
Well, and that's the other thing about it. You're talking about a much stronger offensive line.
Yeah.
All the way across the board.
Right.
And I'm going to say probably a little bit a more athletic offensive line that we've had.
Yes, sir.
In a while.
Yes.
But again, that was the main unit I was watching last night, because that's what. You say you ain't gonna harp on the last 2 years, but that's what I've been harping on for the past 2 years. On this offensive line.
I think everybody has.
I thought, really solid work by the offensive line. Yeah, you have some hiccups, but you're gonna have those.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought I give the offensive line really a B+. I'm not gonna give them an A because it's preseason. I can't give anybody an A in preseason. But I thought that left side with Latham and Skoronski is solid. The good thing about that, even in the play where Latham got beat, he still held up long enough for Will to get the ball off.
That's right.
And again, we haven't had that. Usually when the player gets beat over the past couple of years, quarterback ain't got no chance. He can keep him down, or he's going to take a hit. So I thought that was really good. I thought Cushenberry, obviously going against T. Sweat in practice, is helping him because I thought he played solid the whole game. NPF comes off an injury and is just fit right in.
Right.
The question is always going to be Radens. How's he going to work out? I think he did good last night, but again, like I said, I'm giving the whole offensive line like a B+. The one thing I will say though, I did like the fact that they're using Brunskill as center as a backup center.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
thought
Yes.
that really anchored the second unit. I
Mhm.
thought they played well. They held up pretty well. The run blocking wasn't as good, I thought, but again, I thought that pass blocking, pass protection was really solid, and they held up pretty well. So I think having Brunskill playing the backup center role is really going to be beneficial for the offensive line and keeps that continuity because again, you got a veteran in the
At the
middle
center, yeah.
who can make the line calls, make the protection calls, and everything. Who could see the things going across. I think that was a smooth move by Daddy Callahan to get that done. So overall, like I said, I thought the offensive line did great. I thought they did great.
Yeah, and Nathan was asked, "Do we feel the first five last night?" Definitely. I think that's the five we'll see opening day, unless something changes.
Yeah.
For the right side,
I mean,
I think that's what we see.
it's Dylan's job to
It's
lose.
Dylan's job
and
to lose.
And I don't think he did anything last night to move himself down the depth chart.
Right.
Peter's gonna be a man. I'm just gonna say that.
Peter, yes.
People forget, and he said he had what he played after the first game is when he had the surgery.
Yeah.
He lost weight and strength,
and never gained it back.
Then he had somebody smaller than offensive lineman beside him as center.
Yep.
And he had the turnstile.
Yeah, the turnstile.
So I mean, to have some people on either side of him now, and he's got that strength back. Like he looks like an NFL guard. Like,
right.
So I really feel like he's going to be fine. And again, to G Witt's point and yours earlier, Ed, you can see the coaching and technique that you're seeing. This is like, think about it. Peter was with this team last year.
Right.
NPF was with this team last year. Dylan has been with this team the last 2 or 3 years. And even Jalen Duncan. On the second string, when he got in, you saw some technique that looked good. And again, as G Witt pointed out, you're going to have your hiccups. For the most part, they kept your quarterback clean.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall a sack.
No, he didn't get sacked. I
didn't think they had no sacks last night. And for the most part, there was several times where you just got to tip your cap to the coverage of the 49ers because they had great time to throw in great pockets from that. So I think that's good film for them to build on. And if we know Daddy Callahan like anything, he probably graded them a C-, which means they got to work even harder, which is only good. And again, you're glad to see that they're getting some different type of practice this coming week going against another team. So that should be real intense as well.
Yeah, good point, Joe. For the first team, you're right. No penalties. We would have had false starts. I mean, all kind of stuff off the bat, man. Great point, man.
The first thing I thought about, when's the last time we've started an offensive drive in the 30, 40-yard line and actually came away with 7? Like, we didn't settle for no field goal. Both the kickoff took us way down the field. We pushed that in for 7. And then the punt return or whatnot to turn in for the 7. So, I mean, they had some good drives on the plus side of the field.
That's what me and G we was talking about last night. Like, man, they can't take 3 right here. We can't. Go ahead, G.
But I will say this also. I think one of the other things that helped out as well was the pace of the play calling.
Yes.
Callahan getting the plays in and them getting up to the line and not holding the ball for 10 to 15 seconds for whatever reason. I never understood why they did that. But I think the fact that they got it and kept it in a rhythm allowed for the offensive lineman to get set, understanding they don't have to move early. Yeah. Plus, again, with the technique and everything of the blocking, way Daddy Callahan has it going, way Bill Callahan has it going with them. You didn't, because a lot of times they were jumping simply because they knew they were going to get beat.
Mm-hmm. Right. They were trying not to get beat. Right.
They were trying not to get beat. So you saw last night an offensive line that was settled and confident in what they had to do, and understanding that you see Latham understanding, knowing he's got to learn. Don't get me wrong, he's going to learn because, like I said, last night was preseason.
Yeah.
But the speed of the game is going to get them come the first day. But I think you're talking about an offensive line that's going to be settled down real quick after game 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. They're going to be settled down and ready to roll. And I'll tell anybody, if this offense can be ready to roll by the 5th game in October, I think we're going to see a pretty decent team. We're going to surprise some people.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I definitely say that. And like you guys mentioned already, here's the only knock I would give the offensive line, because you saw some different things, right? You saw them pulling. You saw a power run play out
Power
of
run.
shotgun where they pulling the
Yes.
guard, the onside guard, and the backside guard. I would say, we've got to do something better on short yardage. You already hit that, but if we go run out of shotgun, we've got to do something better on short yardage, because we didn't get a fourth down conversion all night. And that was one thing that Callie harped on in his presser after the game last night, is that he was disappointed in them not being able to convert this fourth down. And I'm good. I'm glad that they went for it, because you want to see, right? You want to see, for all that girth and strength that we got on the offensive line now, you want to see a better effort. I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna say the effort was bad. I'm just saying the outcome, the better outcome.
I'm gonna say.
I'm gonna give him a sorry, Jimmy. I'm gonna give him a slight pass on that because the going for the fourth down was actually with the second offensive line unit instead of the first, I believe. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, it was because that's going into my point I'm finna make.
Okay.
That Eddie said the effort was there. You ain't gonna get it. No, Hassan Haskins needs to be cut. He is.
So I'm gonna be nice, man. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I ain't gonna be nice. He has no moves, no juke, hits the hole slow, etc. That was one. And again, yes, you gotta block it up. But that was one legit first down. He might have been the one that was close to the end zone. You have to just make a move and you get in the end zone. There's a reason that Chestnut to me is ahead of him on the depth chart, because Hassan Haskins, he's going. I'm almost positive was he a J-Rob draft pick?
Yeah,
pretty certain. Yeah. He's got to be cut with the rest of them. Because I was watching that last night. That's the first thing I came away with about him.
Yeah, here's the thing about him though, on that fourth down play. That you're exactly right. That's his problem. If he first of all, he ran into his offensive line.
Yes,
he did.
And on top of that, coming around, he's standing straight up. If he gets low, he's going to make the first down.
Yes.
But instead, he comes around standing straight up and gets blasted.
Yeah, no.
So it's one of those things. It's telling when you say that when you hear Callahan say that Chestnut was better in the offense and Hassan Haskins was better on special teams.
Yeah. Yes, that was very telling.
You get the message, don't you? You get the message.
You get the message.
So let's flip over, man, to the defensive side of the ball, because people are making comments on. So I want to get these comments in. And so one thing off the bat that I noticed, guys, and I know y'all did, we talked about Sweat. He got double teamed for the majority of the time he was in the game, right? I mean, big time. Big time. He still has some grown man moves where he put somebody in the backfield, one arm, and pushed the offensive lineman back. Great. Here's the thing. Now, I know Big Jeff is out. I know Harold is out. But there's no pass rush.
Not at all.
There is no pass rush. Zero. And so, to Ryan Walker's point, he has a question. He's like, do we make a move? Because the outside linebackers look a little weak. Do we make a move?
Yes.
Yes, I think we do too.
I think
Go
we do
ahead.
too. I think that they either bring somebody in at cut down, or you see somebody the next week or so, because the four-man, and again, I know you didn't have Big Jeff, you didn't have Harold. That doesn't. They got to take a breath. They got to take a break anyway.
Right.
And then you got Arden Key. I didn't even realize Arden Key played.
I know. I said, who was 49?
Yeah,
I was like, oh
man, I didn't realize it until I saw the snap count. I was like, Arden Key played, but that's telling that we're saying that. And again, he's supposed to be one of your big pass rushers. But yeah, there was no pass rush whatsoever. Rashad Weaver is just a training camp hero right now. It cannot go from the practice field to the game yet, because he still is making some of the mistakes that he's been making in the past. But yeah, that was the one thing. If there was a concern about defense, it was the lack of pass rush from the front four.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I agree with you, because I was watching it too, and I was like, I'm timing the quarterbacks, and San Francisco's quarterbacks had plenty of time to throw the ball.
Yes.
Anytime they got, and the only time they got to him was with a blitz, or they made a mistake or something like that. But for the most part, there was no pass rush whatsoever. I thought that, like you guys, we've only had one good play, and that's when he knocked the pass down from oh God, I forget his name now.
Dobbs.
Yeah. And really on the other side, nobody made any splash plays except for Caleb Murphy falling on Chance Campbell's back when they both got there about the same time. Caleb Murphy didn't do a whole lot. So I don't know. And again, it could be something dealing with the scheme. Because one thing, I mean, you guys have got to be happy about this. There were no stunts last night.
There was not any stunts. You're right. But we saw a lot of press coverage.
A lot of press
coverage.
I
really love that. I really did.
I love the press coverage. My bad.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I just think really one of the things I'm interested to see how it goes on. I'm gonna hold off on the pass rush until the beginning of the season, because I just think that Wilson didn't want to show anything last night, so I think he just kept it plain and vanilla and really worked the secondary more than anything else. Because I was amazed that we weren't getting much of a push out of the defensive line at all, especially after what I've been seeing in practice and everything. But again, Big Jeff wasn't out there, Harold Landry wasn't out there. Yeah, Avery's a pass rush specialist, and really he's a third down guy. You know, bottom line, he's not a 4-down guy at all.
Oh, he's talking about the Trey Avery.
He's talking about number 2.
He's talking about Trey.
Yeah.
Hey, it's the same comment goes to him.
He's talking about 23, who every time you look up, he's either getting burnt or a pass interference. He got away with one PI last night that they didn't call.
And that blitz that they ran and they got that sack, he got lucky because he was cooked on that corner route. I was like, oh my Lord.
He's the one corner that cannot play press coverage.
And the thing, he can't play press or off coverage. He just beat either way. And you would think he would have improved because he'd been going against Ridley the whole time in training camp. and Ridley's been cooking him left and right. Yeah. So I just think that, you know, Trey Avery and Arden Key, both of them, man, I think really, I know they're probably going to keep Trey Avery for depth unless they find somebody else. And they're going to have to find somebody because they really don't, unless the rookies that came in this year step up.
Right.
I don't know if Avery makes the team.
That's what I'm saying.
I think the name that Nathan put down here, Mr. Brownlee, I thought he played well, and he's got a chip on his shoulder. And I think you got a couple of undrafted ones that Avery is probably
Gabe Judy.
Yeah, Gabe Judy's good. Yeah. Avery probably gets the Mason Kinsey treatment, meaning that he will be the practice squad player that knows the area and you can call up, but. If he's got to suit up on Sundays, then we're in bad shape.
Nathan, I like that, but I'm gonna go a step further. I'm gonna say James Williams. Yeah, I'm gonna go with James Williams right now. But either one could be the steal of the draft. But I really like James Williams, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because you watched him last night, the guy flies to the football, right? And here's the other thing that I noticed on defense: Gibby is a liability in pass coverage.
Yes.
I mean, he can tackle. He's a good run defender. He can fit in his run fits. He does well at that. But playing zone and pass coverage, woo-wee. Yeah. Boy, he got exposed last night on some of those crossing routes. So they got to do something about that. And I think that, you know, somebody asked, it was Joe says, can Jamal Adams rush the pass? He can. That's his specialty. He blitzes. He can tackle. His coverage skills aren't that good, but he could probably play zone better than Gibby. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, you know, you got to remember Jamal Adams, one thing about him, and they said it on the broadcast last night, which I thought was really telling. It's like, really, he's a linebacker playing safety.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. The same with James Williams, right? He's a safety going to play linebacker. So same thing, right? So it's going to be good. So here's our question I got, fellas. So we talk about Gibby, Chance Campbell all over the field. This is what he was known for coming out of Ole Miss, a tackling machine, right? Yeah. And so we saw that last night. He's healthy. He's playing ball. Good for him, man. Here's the thing, though, and somebody already said it. Is Weaver out? Oh, what about this name? Elijah Molden. Elijah Molden is quietly not making any noise, if I could say that. I know that sounds awkward because the way I said it, but
I know what you meant.
Yeah, it's like what happened to Elijah Molden, right? He was like, so I say one thing, and I'll let you guys go. He's gotten exposed because he's not that fast.
He can't cover anybody.
Did you know that?
Like
you noticed that he's not that fast.
Yes, did he play into the third quarter last night?
I thought he did play.
Yeah, that's
but
pretty.
You didn't know it.
Did you know it? Yeah, I nearly. So
he only made one tackle.
he's one of the odd men out too because he can't. Like, what position can he play? You can't find one for him.
Can't put him in nickel because you got McQuarrie.
You can't hide him back there. So I said the same thing about
Special
him.
teams.
That you thought that he would be better. But I don't know what's going on with Molden. It's some competition there, and
It's a lot of competition.
I think Molden could be on the outside looking in.
There's a reason why they brought Diggs in.
Yes, there's a reason why you brought Diggs in. You've got to have somebody you trust that's going to allow Imani Hooker to be what we know he can be.
Yeah,
right.
And somebody like Diggs beside him. Diggs can play the center field.
Yeah,
that's center field
no doubt.
ball hawk. So and that frees up Hooker. But yeah, Molden he can't blitz, he can't cover, he can't run with the tight end. He's just out there in the way.
Yeah, and I was telling G Witt last night. Well, even though we was texting, I was like, I know Jay Luce down there with a tear in his eye from all the shotgun runs. But here's the other T. I know you said it. Yo, boy, Otis Reese. He all over the field.
Yeah. Yeah.
First of all, did y'all see him hit the lineman he hit the lineman into the running back? I could hear the thump. And when I saw the number, that's why I was like, oh, that was Otis.
Yep.
Like Otis Reese is made for this defense.
He is.
He's made, and to a degree, that's why I think Chance Campbell, outside of being healthy, he's made to fit this scheme of a defense where it's just downhill. Yeah. Murray is made for this defense.
Oh yeah,
see ball, hit ball, just attack. So we've got
blitzed the first play.
First of the game. You mentioned we've got that liability in Gibby because you want to have two linebackers on the field, but again, we're just sitting here playing the guessing game because we could easily well see six DBs with one of them DBs being Adams as your linebacker in a nickel type package that just. I'm amazed. I'm curious to continue to see what he can scheme up with some of these linebackers we have. Now, again, to your point, there is some liabilities with coverage because I think we're suspect for a screen pass. We're suspect. I still don't think we got nobody to cover the tight end, but I think we're gonna play the game of let's see if we can get to the quarterback first before they can get that ball off like that.
I think you see Brownlee on tight ends. I think you might see that.
I would say this. First of all, I think, in all honesty, that first play with Murray blitzing up the middle, I think that was Wilson's way of telling the league shots fired.
Yes.
It's going to be a different defense when you come to Tennessee.
That was
I honestly believe because it's preseason, man. Nobody blitzes in preseason.
Nobody. First play of the game.
And especially on the first call.
And he says it's 245-pound linebacker that runs the 4-4.
So I'm looking at that as like, okay, he's letting everybody know shots fired. Mm-hmm. You know, it's going to be a different defense. It's going to be an attacking defense, and you better get ready for it. I agree with you about Otis Reese. I thought he played phenomenal last night, and I'm interested to see how it plays out. And I will say this as far as the defense is concerned, because some things I think Wilson is hiding, trying not to show too much. Mm-hmm. And, even though Gibby is listed as the starting linebacker right now, it may change by the time the season starts. So just based on speed and everything. I mean, don't get me wrong, Gibby's smart and everything, but I think like even Reese reading the running plays and everything is a lot quicker. And Chance Campbell was definitely a lot quicker and hitting the hole and everything. Even if he hit the hole, if he doesn't make the tackle, he's redirecting the running back. Mm-hmm. And if somebody comes behind him, they could easily clean up. That was the other thing that was missing last night. I thought there was a couple of times where you saw the line do their job and you saw the linebacker do their job, but there was nobody there to clean it up. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested to see how all this is going to play out. I just think Wilson may be holding some things back, man. Just wait to see what's going to happen at the beginning of the season because it's, I'm having a hard time seeing how Gibby is going to be ahead of Otis Reese in this deal.
I don't see how he's going to be ahead of Chance Campbell. Say that.
Yeah.
Yes. So just looking off last night, this is just a small sample size, right?
Yeah.
But Chance Campbell is making plays. He's got speed. He can run sideline to sideline. And he can cover better than Gibby. So, we'll say. I'll take Molden, Joe, over Avery. Definitely.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Twice.
Twice, yeah. So now let's get to special teams because it was something that came up in the chat, and this is definitely for Jay Lou because Craig Ackerman was his boy. Was his boy.
Man.
And so Nathan's like, new kickoff is going to win and lose some games. How bad was Ackerman, man?
So I'm gonna speak about the first one because I hadn't watched the preseason game until I went to the game last night. So hadn't really seen the kickoff until you see it in person.
Yep.
It looks weird at first because literally everybody's just standing there, even when the ball's kicked.
Right.
But after the 49ers got the ball first, then when we got it on ours, we said it in the section around me. If you can make one person miss on this kickoff, you got a good chance to see to do what Jackson did. So
Right.
I 100% agree. It's going to win some games and lose some games, and it's going to make you seeing it in person makes you understand more why you kept hearing about Treylon Burks might potentially be back there sometimes because you think about the bodies in space and making people miss. So I agree with that. Ackerman was terrible because I thought, I'll be honest, we punted it a couple times. I know at least in the second half. I don't remember who the gunners were, but they did phenomenal. I thought the punt coverage was great.
Yeah.
Again, the kickoff, they had one that got them to about the 35 or so. But other than that, I thought the few kickoffs that we did, given that this is new, I thought that coverage was well. So, yeah, that just goes to show you that Craig overstayed his welcome. The only concern I had last night, and again, I know he's old, but to be short on a 52-yarder in August, that's got to be a little concerning because it's still early. I would expect that in November, December, you've been kicking all year.
Man.
But he ain't kicking all. You're not really kicking.
He had nothing on that one.
He had nothing
he had
on
nothing.
it. So, yeah.
He had nothing.
And you knew it was short from the time
it left. Yes.
Yeah, and the guy from last year that's still there. He,
But I agree with you, and I think the telling part about the special teams coach and the change and everything is simply the fact that, to your point, J. Lou, the coverage. The punt coverage was excellent, and the kickoff coverage was excellent. I mean, for the most part, they got one, like you said, to like the 35, something like that, but everything else was like 25, 20.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're talking about tackling as soon as they get there, hitting the gaps and everything. So you can tell, obviously, they've been working on their assignments, knowing what to do, and they are making sure they're covering up all the gaps and all that. But to your point, if you make somebody miss, it could be a house call.
Yes.
So that goes back to somebody might have been bringing up earlier in the chat that the coaching is so much better. Yeah. Just think about that for a minute. Think about how good the tackling was last night. Thinking about the new special teams regulations they put in this year, how how effective they were as far as when we returned it and also when we covered the kick. And so the coaching is, to me, I know it's a small sample size. I know it. I know it's preseason, but right now, you can tell the difference. Yeah. You can tell the difference.
I'll take it to that other word, the development. Because again, this is a young team.
That's right.
This is a young team. And if there's one knock on the previous head coach, that was probably the one I had, was you give him a ready-made team. You give him Baltimore Ravens, he's probably in the Super Bowl. That's a ready-made veteran team. You give him a team where you've got to develop. I think that's where we struggled seeing that coach. So you've got to give Callahan and Rand, for that matter, a kudos so far. Again, small sample, but just seeing the coaching staff they put together with the mix of veteran coaches who've been around the block. You think about Callahan, you think about oh my God, it's the
Tracy Rocker.
Some of those guys like that have seen it all. I mean, Tracy Rocker coached Albert Haynesworth. Right. And now he's out there coaching. We hope the next one in
Frank Bush, linebacker coach.
Frank Bush. So I mean, you got some guys that are really keen on development.
Yeah. And that's the thing about it too. I think, and like I said, I always preface everything with it being preseason, but I think the thing you have to take away from it was, to your point about the development, the fundamental of the game was evident last night in both, like you said, the tackling, the blocking. Those fundamentals of the game were evident last night, even in a preseason game. And normally we don't see that. We would see missed tackles and everything, but you saw a lot of good tackling last night. So I think that's going to be it's going to be interesting to see how the regular season is going to be. But again, like I've been telling everybody, I think defense is going to be ready come game one. I think the offense is going to take about 4 games to get going.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the commonality, right? Offense is always slower developing, especially when you got a new scheme in camp. The defense is always going to dominate because defense, you just play, right? Offense, you got to run the right route against the right coverage. You got to, set the blocking up. So it's a lot of things that goes into an offense that makes it a little bit slower coming along. But like you said, if it's going, it's going to trend the way it is now as it's looking. Week 4, we should see a well-oiled machine. We should see 30 points.
It might be before. It might be a week before that. You know why? Because we saw something we ain't saw. We saw the offensive starters play.
We saw not only them, we saw both sides of the ball.
Yeah, both
we hadn't seen that in 3-4 years.
They did 2 series.
we hadn't seen that in about 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So the question I left is up here for Joe, man. Appreciate the comments and questions from everybody. He said, "Are you worried about the defense still giving up a third and forever?" Yes, you don't like the fact that they gave up a third long, but here's the thing that's different for me, and we saw it last night. You had a 4th down when Dow's in the game. What does Denard do? He brings some heat. He dials it up. He presses. He don't sit back like we used to do and sit back and drop back and have your DB sitting at 10 yards and hope they can come and make a tackle. No. Again, I didn't like it, but we got a defensive coordinator that's not going to let you breathe and get an opportunity to convert that long conversion.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, and going along with that, I agree with you totally, and I think the other thing that you got to look at as well, we gave up some third and longs, but at the same time, when you gave up the third and long, you tackled.
Yeah.
There were no yak yards after the catch or anything like that, which is, to me, is the most important thing, because sometimes you're going to give them up. Even the best defenses will give up a third and long every now and then, but you got to tackle the guy when he makes the catch. The thing that used to drive me crazy was the fact that they would give up a third and long and the guy would gain at least 10 extra yards because you're so far off the ball, you can't get to him in time.
Right. And so you're not going to see that anymore. Guaranteed. And
my bad.
No, go ahead.
One thing we're forgetting, that it was the third and longs that were just the opportune time, because they were only 4 for 11 on third down and 49. So you had a good efficiency there. And then on the flip side, I think we were 50%, 9 for 17, if I'm not mistaken. So you'll take that. It's just, to y'all's point, you got to minimize those impacting big third and longs that are key factors in the game. But I think we'll take 4 for 11 every Sunday going forward.
Right. 0 for 2 on 4th down. So
and again, back for Eddie's point, on the 4th down, you saw him press and bring heat.
Yep.
I'll be honest with you, that's what I'm expecting when I see a third and long.
Me too. That's what I was just saying.
I'm expecting heat to come.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm not expecting them to just sit back and just let receivers run routes. Quarterbacks got to get the ball out their hand quick, and and I'm gonna say this. From what I've seen in practices and everything, if Big Jeff and T Sweat are in there at the same time on a third and long, quarterback ain't gonna have no time to throw the ball.
Nah.
Well, you saw last night they double teamed him, and they double teamed for a reason, because the guy's a beast. Just watch him. I want to see, and I wish we could see him this week at practice, see how he does against another team. But we'll see on Saturday. But man, Will says, did we see how he was yelling? Denard was yelling at the defense, telling them to move back to the end zone. That was toward the end of the game, of course. Tashawn says Will throws for 400. Book it, man. Hey, if he does, man, it's gonna be a big season. And then K. Lou says the dual running back experience, man. Come on with that. So that big run, I forgot to mention this earlier. The big run that Pollard had when he picked up 20-25. Did you see the lane clearance that Dillon and NPF made? I mean, somebody got pancaked.
Yeah, I could have got like 2 yards. So that was a big enough
that hole was humongous.
Humongous.
And you saw what was it? The tight end that came over and hit the linebacker and then just opened it up like the ocean and everything.
Okuda's a good blocker, man. It's gonna be it's a good problem to have when you got a lot of talent and depth. It's just bad because you're not gonna keep up. You can't keep all up, right? Even if you put them on the practice squad, somebody gonna steal them.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, man. Dion says, in other words, like the killer instinct. Yeah, I love it.
Absolutely.
I love Denard Wilson.
Absolutely.
Man. I love him. I love it. How he coaches the game.
I've never understood these DCs, and again, we've seen it from Jeff Fisher on down. Who, when you get in third and long or third and forever, instead of rushing the quarterback, you let them sit back there and you play coverage and give up. And I would tell you, I know the play that broke Greg Williams from doing that was when we were playing against Baltimore here, the first game we lost. and we had them down and had them at like a 2nd and 20 and 21, and we gave up 22 yards on a pass play with Trent Dilfer being the quarterback.
Yeah.
After that, I think Greg Williams said, "I'm listening every time now. I'm not going back to that no more." Because Jeff Fisher was notorious for that.
There is some beef across that defensive line, and Joe talks about a Coburn from Texas, Bohannon.
That's 91, ain't it? When he's
Yeah.
90, oh yeah, he's a
Bohannon
big
97. That's
Yeah,
the
but
cat they got from
Sebastian Day
Detroit.
didn't play.
Yeah, Sebastian Day didn't play.
Yeah.
We don't know what's wrong with him. They didn't say he had an issue or whatnot, but he didn't play.
I think he just like Big Jeff. He held him out, man.
But there's some big guys across that front, and so you think about where Denard came from. You know, he came from Baltimore. They had some big beef in the middle to free up those linebackers for those blitzes. They had Queen and those guys, and then Kyle Hamilton coming off the slot. And so you see this defense forming into something that he's been running. You know, he was familiar with last year. And then, of course, at Philadelphia, they had a big front, too, running a 4-3 or wide 9 at times. And so he's got a lot of different schemes and packages, I believe we're going to see, to your point you said earlier, J. Lou, with Jamal Adams, Quentin Diggs, and man, it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice.
I'm just telling you, man, you got close on that defensive line. You got close to 1,000 pounds between 3 guys. And you know, that's one thing they brought out in the broadcast last night when they interviewed Jeff on the sideline. He said when they drafted T. Sweat, he called Rand and said, "Thank you." He said, I haven't been able to play beside a true nose guard since Daquan Jones.
Yep.
Yeah, and so you see it last night, man. He draws double teams for a reason. For a reason. And if so, pick your poison. Pick your poison, because once he gets in shape, which I thought last night he played pretty good considering.
I thought he did too.
He played a lot of plays. He was on the field a lot.
Yeah.
I thought he played well considering he was getting double teamed. And so you get him in game shape. You get Big Jeff in game shape. You get Harold Landry in big game shape. We've got to get somebody on the opposite side of Harold Landry. We've got to get some depth behind those guys, because the depth behind Landry and Key or whoever's going to be on the right side, even Harold, the Michigan guy, he's a rookie. Of course, he can't. Yeah, they said he's been having a good camp. He was absent last night a lot. So, you know, we're going to have to make a move, whether that's Carl Lawson or the other guy from Baltimore, but he's coming off an injury, and I can't. His name is slipping my mind right now. But anyway, so yeah, we'll have to make a move and get something, because I don't know, and I'm not saying that Denard won't blitz all the time, because he probably will. But we need to be able to generate some pressure from our front four at times as well. So let's see. They said this is the most excited he's been.
If nothing else, the good thing about seeing the way Wilson is blitzing, he's blitzing with the linebackers up the middle.
Yeah. But see, the other time though, he came off the edge.
He
had a little game with Caleb Murphy and Chance Campbell on that last sack that they got. And so, yeah, man, Nathan said he's this most excited he's been in a few years. No respect to the king, though. No doubt. Ricky Smith, man, what's going on, man? Appreciate you joining tonight. And then Bowser, that's who it was, man. Appreciate it, Joe. Appreciate it. Now if he comes back healthy, man, and they pick him up, this guy can play too. He can play too, man. But thank y'all, man, for joining us for another episode of Halftime Adjustments. Eddie on there, G Witt, J Lou.
Yes, sir.
Titans 2024 season underway. Week 1 is down in the books. New regime, new era. We'll see what happens, man. Got the Seahawks coming into town this week for a couple of days, and we'll see them on Saturday. Another preseason. Week 2. See what they're going to do, man. I just wondered if Jeff is going to play. And he said they weren't going to play at all until like the third game. So we won't see them at all. We'll see. Maybe we'll see more of the offense, you know, a little bit more Will getting rid of the ball. Maybe see a little bit more Burks.
He said depends on how intense practice is. Some ones might take a break this week and others.
That's true.
But at least, again, you've got that plan up front. So I still expect to see some type of starter on both sides. I mean, I think without a shadow of a doubt, you can almost pencil in whatever the starting 5 O-line, you might see the same 5 run out there again. Just to continue to get them that work. You possibly could see Will a series. I don't know. You might, if Will has good practice and good show against Seahawks, then do you give Mason and Malik a half each to just get more playing time with them to really help with your decision? So it's one of those weeks with it's kind of unique having the because a lot of teams just did some joint practices this past week, so it's kind of unique having it in the middle of the preseason. And you still got that third game to evaluate from there.
Yeah, but they did say, he also said, you know, Big Jeff and Landry, and they might get some work in that last preseason game just to get used to having to pass on and going full bore from the line and everything. But I think they look at those two players right there,
And
and
Snead. You don't
Snead.
expect to see
They,
Snead.
they look at them as like they're always ready.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
they're the ones you don't have to worry about being ready when the season starts.
Yep.
But it is gonna be nice to
Yeah.
see Big Jeff talking smack in practice.
Oh man.
Just to see how
I'm sure they've already pulled him to the side and said, Jeff, we don't need no fights.
But you know he gonna talk,
Oh,
man.
yes.
He talk about
Yes.
anybody else. You ever heard him and Art and Key out there together? Oh my gosh! Oh, if y'all hadn't seen them at practice, man, hope y'all get to go one day, man. These guys talk cash money trash the whole. Art and Key,
Whole time.
he don't ever shut up.
At
He
all.
talks the whole practice. So-
At all.
He gets on your nerves more with his talk than he does with his play, to be totally
Yes.
honest.
I think it's his high squilly voice. That's
Yes.
the issue.
It is.
But anyway,
But
man,
it's
appreciate
the funniest thing when you go to practice, man. You get up close on those guys, and you look at the defensive line, and Jeff is the smallest one on the defensive line.
he is now.
Yes, he is now.
He
He's
is
the
now.
smallest one on the defensive line, man. That's
Right.
just funny to me.
Yes, man. Big fella, man. But again, thank y'all for joining us, man. Catch us next week, man. We'll be back. We'll break down the Seahawks game week 2, see what else we pick up on. Do we see more? Hopefully we won't see too much from the offense, but we'll see more movement of the ball down the field, some more action, scoring points, and the defense, playing aggressive as we like. But again, thank y'all for joining us. Eddie Arnell, G. Witt, J. Luke, half